Good afternoon. It is now 4:00 p.m. on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. This is a special meeting of the Planning Board. The Planning Board is a 7-member board. Any special permit decision of the board requires a 2/3 vote. 2/3 of a 7-member board is 5. If only 5 members vote, the vote would have to be unanimous. Any decision on preliminary and definitive plans, approval not required, and proposed zoning amendments requires a majority vote of the full board. Any decision on scenic road permits requires a majority of the quorum present. Any person giving testimony must state and spell their name and provide their street address for the record. All questions from the public should be directed through the chair. This meeting is live and streamed on Sandwich Community Television's website and on local channel 9. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on the SCTV website at www.sandwichtv.org tomorrow. According to town bylaw, meetings are audio recorded. If anyone intends to also record, kindly notify the chair. All right, Taylor with Sandwich Enterprise, thank you. All right, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just so you know, Nicole is joined.
Oh, great. Hi, Nicole.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining. So we will start with the proposed zoning amendment for the purpose that we're here. This is a public hearing. I'm going to read the public hearing notice into the record to start. Town of Sandwich Public Hearing Notice, Planning Board. The Planning Board of the Town of Sandwich hereby gives notice that it will hold a public hearing on proposed amendments to the Sandwich Protective Zoning Bylaw. Date and time, April 22nd, 2025 at 4 p.m. at Sand Hill School Community Center, 16 Dewey Ave, Sandwich, Mass. Proposed amendments. Proposed amendment to the definitive section to update the definition of gross floor area for the purpose of complying with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Affordable Homes Act of 2024. Full text of the proposed zoning amendments, along with the current protective zoning bylaw and current zoning map, may be viewed in the following ways. 1. Request a PDF from the Office of Planning and Development at planning@sandwichmass.org. 2. Visit the Office of Planning and Development at 100 Route 6A, Sandwich, Mass. 3. Call 508-833-8001 if other accommodations are needed. Jennifer Reisig, Chair, Sandwich Planning Board, Publication, Sandwich Enterprise on April 4th and April 11th, 2025. I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
I motion to open the public hearing.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the proposed amendment to the definitions section to update the definition of gross floor area for the purpose of complying with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Affordable Homes Act of 2024. Leanne, Steve, you want to provide an overview for all of us?
Sure. So the previous definition that we had in our public hearing that we did for the bylaw changes was the first one that you see here on the screen. The Commonwealth changed the definition of gross floor area due to the building community was a little bit upset that it was not compliant with building code, and they felt that it should be more in line with how the building code defines gross floor area. So basically they updated it to become more compliant. It's reworded a little bit differently, but the kind of main portion is that the measurement for gross floor area is not measured on the exterior of the walls, but the interior of the walls. So I mean, it gives maybe a few inches more to go towards the definition, but that's really the only change I'm here to present to you tonight.
Okay, and Leanne had explained to me, so just for further clarification, and correct me if I get any of this incorrect, but this is the building code, which the definition that the state has. It is not the same as how gross floor area is defined relative to habitable space and the whole. That's completely something separate. That was related to our old ADU bylaw, which is no longer effective. This is just related, again, only just to the Mass Building Code. Okay. So I guess we'll start with the public. Does anybody want to speak?
Apologies, I had a coughing fit. I had to leave the room for just a moment. Leanne, can you just repeat the definition, how it's changing?
Sure, so the main part that's changing is the old definition measured from the exterior faces of the exterior walls. This is a measurement of the interior faces of the exterior walls. So like I said, it's giving a few inches of a difference.
It's giving
That
it
is
a 2 by
significant, though, isn't
4.
it?
It is, and it wasn't compliant with the Massachusetts State Building Code, their definition for gross floor area, which is what caused the change. They went to the state, complained, basically.
Which again is the interior dimensions of the room.
Correct.
Do you mind just stating your name, just for the record, and your address?
Of course, I'm Jack Vaccaro, 16 Oriole Lane.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the public? All right, I'll turn it to the board. Anybody? Did you? Oh, did you? No?
No, okay.
No, this just pertains to the ADU bylaw, is that correct?
So, yes and no. Like, this is just, it's going to pertain to the new ADU bylaw, but it's separate from the one that we used to have. It's not effective anymore. So, yes, it's going to pertain to the new ADU bylaw.
Yeah, but nothing else, none of the other bylaws.
Nothing else. I don't believe we mentioned gross floor area within our bylaws at all. We've always gone off of habitable space here.
Right, but is that gonna change?
Hopefully not for any of our other.
Depends on your perspective, I suppose. One other question, if you don't mind. The gross floor areas, are there any exclusion for interior spaces under that definition?
So it says including basement lots and intermediate floor tiers. There is wiggle room with basements. A basement in the building code is defined as something that is 7 feet. The ceiling height would be 7 feet. So we would be able to see that if it was under 7 feet, say 6 foot 8 inches, that would not count towards the calculation. So people could store mechanicals and as such below to try and give people a little bit more wiggle room with their living levels.
But the stairwell area that would lead to that utility space, would that also be excluded?
Let's see, measured from center line but excluding crawl spaces, garage parking areas, attics, enclosed porches, and similar spaces. It does not mention staircases, so that would be a question for the building official.
Is the stairway part of the cellar, or is it part of the upper floor? I guess that's an important.
So I can't make that determination, but the building official can, so I can ask them for clarification on how they would define that, if that works. Yeah, get back to you.
That would be great, thank you.
And if I may, can you just state your name and address for the
Ellen
record?
Asack, 35 Gully Lane.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public and board? Do you have any questions or comments? I do not.
I mean, I think I do have a comment.
Like, I'm just going to turn you down a little bit, Nicole. That's very loud. 1 second. Okay, try again.
Thank you. So I just want to be clear that the purpose of this change is because the state itself has made that change, and that is for the specific ADUs by right that the state has now imposed, and that the town of Sandwich can later on, right, in addition to having these by right ADUs with this gross floor area prescribed, can develop our own alternative as an additional option for our residents, which we could create language how we think is appropriate.
That is correct.
Okay. And this is meant only to bring us into compliance with the state on the by right ADUs.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Nicole's question raises a larger issue that I know we've talked about before, but you could give me 5 minutes of your time. I just would like to speak to it again.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, of course, yeah, as long as it's.
So again, I'm Jack Vaccaro, 16 Oriole Lane, and last time when I came before you, you asked me to write the Attorney General's office and see if I could get an opinion from them. I did that, and unfortunately they wrote back indicating that they had not, they had received the message, but they were not going to be able to get back to me within 90 days. If I don't hear from them in 90 days, that I should get back in touch with them. So it was a bit of a fool's errand that you sent me on.
Well, if
And I wouldn't
may,
expect them,
if-
I wouldn't
if I
expect them to
may,
act that quickly, but
If the accusation is a fool's errand, I'd like to address that.
it's not
It
an
wasn't-
accusation, it's just a matter of fact. It was
Well,
a request
excuse
made
me,
of,
sir.
it was a request made of me to provide you with information that was
If I,
not gonna be able
if
to
I
provide.
may, Mr. Vaccaro,
Yes,
we're allowing you to speak before us off agenda. And if you would like to continue to do so, I'm going to address the accusation that you just made, okay?
it's not really an accusation, it's
It
a,
was not a fool's errand. I simply suggested that you reach out to the Attorney General's office to ask that they consider allowing towns to increase the square footage in our bylaws that we adopt, in hopes that the more people that they heard from would help our cause so that we might help you. There was no fool's errand, and you did that, and that is very much appreciated because it does very much help us. So that being said, if you can stay on topic, please continue.
so you can understand why I felt a bit of a fool when I explained to you what I learned in the interim. The Mass Association of Community of Housing, the Massachusetts Municipal Association wrote a letter to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities back in early March, asking this very question of them. They responded with a very lengthy template zoning bylaw model to all the communities, which makes it very clear that local communities have the opportunity to increase the maximum size of an ADU to match the needs of the community. So the question has been asked more than once already. I don't know why the answer wasn't properly communicated to you, but it wasn't. And this is why I feel like I was sent on a fool's errand.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so then we'll turn back to the proposed bylaw change. Any further discussion from anybody else in the public or anyone else on the board? Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
It is a roll call vote because Nicole is
Oh.
via Zoom.
Okay, thank you. We'll do roll call. Melissa Dugan? Just a yes if you agree to close the
We're
public.
not gonna read through the,
Just a roll call.
We're just gonna close the public hearing.
Okay.
It just has to be by roll call vote.
okay.
So,
Just the motion you
yes,
just did.
yes.
Okay, great. Anne?
Yes.
Great. Eileen? Or Jean, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
All right. Yes, and I agree. All right, great. So the public hearing is now closed. So some deliberations, I think it seems pretty straightforward.
It does. I mean, this is something that we need to do in order to be compliant with the Massachusetts Act, so.
All right, so if that sounds fine, then if there's no further discussion, I guess we'll read the new amendment in and then take a vote on that and then a roll call. So do you want to go ahead and read that in? So make a motion and then we'll second
Do we
it.
want to read do we need to read exactly what the new wording is?
It was in your packet.
Okay.
And so that would be what you're approving.
Okay. I, Melissa Dugan, motion to recommend the proposed amendment to the definitions section to update the definition of gross floor area for the purpose of complying with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Affordable Homes Act of 2024 and forward the language to the Board of Selectmen for inclusion in the town meeting warrant.
Ann McManus, second that motion.
All right, we'll do roll call. Melissa Dugan?
Yes.
All right, Ann McManus?
Yes.
Jeannie Burgess?
Yes.
And then Nicole Olet.
Yes.
Right, and Jennifer, yes. So with that, I think that was everything on our agenda. I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you.